Hey guys, Suresh here from TMCB. In today's video, let's talk about day 17 of 100 days of code learning in Python. So without much further delay, let's directly get into the video. Okay guys, before entering into the topic of the video, I request all of you to click on the subscribe button and hit on the bell icon so that you guys don't miss any of the content that I'm trying to put out in this 100 days of code learning in Python journey, or generally in the 100 days of code learning. So I would request all of you all to click on the subscribe button. Now coming to the topic, this particular course that I'm going to talk about is completely free. You don't have to pay even a single rupee, but there is a criteria to it. The criteria is you need to have a LinkedIn account. Now what is a LinkedIn account? LinkedIn is a website, same as a social media application such as your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, but then LinkedIn is mostly used by the recruiters and the employees of every company. It's basically like a site where you go and find jobs, you go and connect with a lot of business people, you go and connect with a lot of clients and customers, you go and connect with a lot of recruiters and employees and employment agencies. There, it's a particular website which picks up people for work and which also looks out for people in order to run their business or company, and a couple of other things. Like if you're a business owner, you can go and search for your clients and customers. You can go and search for anyone who can work for you. If you're an employee who's trying to look out for a job, the best place I would say is to go and connect with people on LinkedIn for the company that you're trying to enter in, and try and ask them to refer or send them your resume. There's something called as LinkedIn Jobs. You can go and apply. There is something called Easy Apply. It's a brilliant website. I would say go ahead and explore the website. But in the same LinkedIn, there is an option called LinkedIn Learning. Now what is this LinkedIn Learning is, there are multiple courses in LinkedIn Learning, not just programming. You have so many courses, from programming to music classes to entrepreneurship skills to marketing skills to sales skills to negotiations. All of these courses are there. Some of them are paid, some of them are totally free. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a free course. You don't have to pay anything for this. The course name is Programming Foundations and Fundamentals. This is a complete beginner programming course. The reason why I happen to choose this is I did do my PCMC in my PUC, and then my graduation is a non-technical degree. I didn't happen to do my engineering or my technical degree. I happened to take up journalism and mass communication, and now I again have some interest towards computers and computer softwares and engineering. But then I felt that I'm lacking a couple of basics. For example, even the basics like what is a compiler, what is an interpretations, and what is a source code, all of these things, right? When people say, I'm like, okay, I've heard it somewhere, but I've forgotten the concepts. So in order for me to brush all of my basics of computer programming, I'm not particularly talking about Python, I'm not particularly talking about Java, I'm not particularly talking about any language. This is generally programming. If you learn these basics, you can use this for programming Python, Java, C++, C#, anything, R, or any other programming languages you can use this for. Now, for you to go and find this course, you need to go to LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn Learning. There's a particular tab called LinkedIn Learning in the options. Once you go to LinkedIn Learning, please type this, which is Programming Foundations and Fundamentals. And if you are not able to find this particular course, I will give the link of this particular course in the description, so that once you click, it will directly take you to the course and you can get enrolled instantly. Now this course has various modules. The modules are Introduction, Programming Basics, Programming Syntax, Variables and Data Types, Conditional Code, Modular Code, and then the last Conclusion. Now, like I said, these are for the very basics, or for anyone who's a beginner or who's from a non-technical or a non-computer field. Like for example, let's say that you happen to do your commerce or your arts in your PUC and in your degree, but now you want to learn programming, because programming is right now being implemented in any particular field. Because previously we thought that programming or coding or computer is only related to IT field, or sub IT fields, anything that is, closely related to IT field. But now that's not the case. For example, I run a business which completely deals with media, music, and advertisement and video. But I also need the tools which is being implemented by coding, which is Python. That's how I started my whole journey, and that's how my interest came back. Now, it doesn't matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter what field you're in. Computer is needed, programming is needed. Even if you are gonna run a bakery, and let's say that you want to know what fruits or what dishes or what pastries your customers like, it's very simple for you to understand that if you have a programming language, and if you can code it into your programming language and get the output, rather than going and asking for forms and asking them for your opinion, which is a long process. In coding, it makes your job really easy. This is what your AI and machine learning and all of these things do. That's how Netflix comes up. I mean, who thought that Netflix would use coding in order to understand what people watch? Now, for example, let's say that you watch any particular series in Netflix. Let's say that you watched Money Heist in Netflix, and the moment you finish Money Heist, there will be a bunch of recommendations which is related to bank robberies, which will be related to theft, which will be related to a lot of armed robbers, or things like that. This, trust me, there's no person sitting behind it and seeing like, oh, this person is watching Money, so let me give him 10 robbery movies. It doesn't work like that, because there are millions of people sitting and watching. In order to fulfill every recommendation or satisfaction of these viewers, you cannot employ 1 million or 10 million people. It doesn't work that way. So there will be one guy or a particular small amount of team who will be doing all this using programming languages, which will take in the input of that particular or the relevant person who's watching, and then they recommend using artificial intelligence. So that is why I say programming is a vital part in everyone's life, not just you don't have to worry if you're not from a CS. It's doable, it's learnable. Yes, it's tough, but it's doable. Now, in the introductions, they teach you the fundamentals of programming, and then they teach you programming basics. They teach you what is programming, writing a source code, running your code using a command. If you have a Windows, it's command prompt. If you have Mac, I think it's text editor or script editor, something like that. And you need to run a code. They will probably ask you to print hello world, which is the first code anyone would do the moment they install any programming language in their system. I've done this in my 10th standard, I've done this in my first PUC and in my second, which is my 12th grade. And then they teach you how to use a IDE. What does IDE stand for? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. You can also use a text editors. It doesn't mean that text editor is not an IDE. Text editors, some of the text editors are also IDE. Like for example, Spider is a text editor, but it is also an IDE. A complete IDE is something called PyCharm by JetBrains. They are purely Python. They're used for web development, scientific calculations, they're used for data science, all of these things. There are a lot of text editors, n number of them. Go ahead and choose what you feel is the right one. I think in this particular course, they use VS Code. So, and then after every module, you have a chapter quiz, which contains of 14 questions. I don't think there is any pass criteria. I'm not sure about it, because I happen to get all the questions correct. So I'm not sure if you don't pass, you don't go to the next module. I don't think there's something like that. And then in this particular course, they teach you completely about Python. They talk only about Python. Now, the next module is programming syntax, on which you learn about why Python, why do people use Python, installing Pythons. The best part of this course is they also teach you how to install Python in your system. Now, many courses or many people really get hard in order to install, because these particular programming languages, right, they're not like any other installer packages where you just install, extract it and run it. It doesn't work like that, because when you install Python and extract it, and when you try doing your installation, there is a small checkbox called add to path. You have to do that. Most of the times, many people don't do that and they leave it unchecked, and then they end up going through a lot of complications. It's again an easy step. Even if you don't uncheck, all you have to do is you have to go to your systems environments in your system and then add it to the path. But like I said, the small things lead to huge complications, because initially when you're downloading, we don't know all of these things. I happened to go through personally when I installed it, but then later figured out that there was already a step in the beginning which I missed. So the beauty of this course is they do teach you how to install Python, which is great. And then, not just that, they also teach you how to install a text editor or an IDE, which is VS Code. Now that's again another beauty for many people who don't know how to install it and then integrate your Python with VS Code, and installing multiple extensions. For example, you can't just download VS Code and run your Python program. Doesn't work like that. You have to install the necessary extensions that is there for Python. For example, in VS Code, you have something called Python extensions and compilers that you have to download. And there are again n number of extensions for your liberty and leisure that you can download and install it. And then they teach you how to run a Python program in an IDE, and then have an output in a terminal and not just in the output box. And then they teach you about troubleshooting issues. And then again, quiz. Then you have variables and data types. Again, variables are something which you store. It's a data that stores value, and then you can use it n number of times over and over again. They teach you how to store a variable in the form of strings. They teach you how to write comments using hashtag or tree quotes if you want to write 3 or 4 more lines. Then using properly of white spaces. Now, I haven't personally used Java or C majorly, but in Python, if you do not have your spaces properly set, you will get an error, because in Python, indentation is very important. For example, when you use a conditional statement, or if there's a colon at the end, your next line, the number of spaces that you leave is very important. Usually it's 4 spaces if I'm not wrong. With these 4 spaces is what you call an indentation. The indentation is very important when you are in Python. Let's say that you don't have 4 spaces and you have only 3. Your program will give you an error. If you don't give space at all after a conditional, like for example after an if or an else, your program will give you error even though the text, whatever you have written, is absolutely correct. So make sure that your spaces are properly used. And then again you have a quiz. Then you have conditional code. Your conditional codes are exploring conditional code, working with simple conditions. Then you have challenge guessing games, and then again you have a solution for how to go about that game. The thing is, they give you a project in the first module, in the first topic, and then the next topic is they also give you the answer for it, so that you can verify if what you have done is the correct one, which is really nice. And then you have modular codes. Functions, defining functions, returning of functions, all of these things. Now in functions, again you have a project in order to name what is your favorite city. For example, that person should type in your favorite city in order to say yes, this is my favorite city. If they type in wrong, then you will be like, no, this is not my favorite city. As simple as that. And then you have a conclusion which says exploring languages. They talk about different languages, and they also have a comparison on between Java and Python and C++. And then once you do this, there is something called like a next step video, which they tell you how to go about next, what to learn next. But the whole course, I really loved it, and the instructor who teaches this is called Davis. She is a brilliantly spoken tutor. Like every bit she tries to explain has been so clearly understood by me, at least, because this has never happened to me. Like I don't understand for the first time when I see or when I watch something. I have to watch it a couple of times, or I might have to write it or read it from some other place in order to understand. For this, nothing. Watched it once and I understood it at the first glance itself. Now the whole course would take you anywhere between a week if you spend anywhere between 1 hour in a day. But if you, let's say that you have 5 to 6 hours on a Sunday or on a Saturday, I would say you can finish the entire course within a day. It's not much of a big, each video is anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes, not bigger than 5 minutes. Pretty easy one. And like I said, the best part is the entire course is free. You also do get a certification once you complete this course, and you can post the certificate on your social medias like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, or even you can probably post it on any other job portals if they allow you to post your certification. That's one good thing that I liked about it. And these certifications are credible because LinkedIn Learning is a credible source of learning platform. It's an credible source of e-learning content as well. This is as good as your Coursera's and your Udemy's and other things. I would say it's actually even more better because the credibility what LinkedIn has is much better than Udemy. So I would say it's much better than the Udemy certificate as well. Now, with this, I will end today's video. I hope you guys like this video. If you guys liked it, do like my video, subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. I will meet you on the next video. Till then, Suraj here signing off from TMCB. Peace.